On Different Pages, written by Ellis Bell. Applejack lay back in her bed, as little as she liked it. The doctor insisted that her fractured rib meant she had to stay for a few days. Apple bucking season wouldn't be going on for another 2 months, and she'll be right as rain by then. In the meantime, her friends had all offered to help Big Mac, and she already talked to Twilight about making sure everything was done correctly. So, all she had to do was relax. She glanced over as the door opened to her room, and Rainbow stepped through, trying to look like she wasn't straining under the weight of 2 bulging saddlebags. With enough effort, she pulled them off and dropped them to the end of the bed, right on Applejack's rear hooves. Ow! Dash, just because I'm already laid up doesn't mean it's a good time to break my legs. Oh, jeez. Sorry. Rainbow grabbed the bags again and dropped them down to the floor next to the bed. Just brought you something that might cheer you up. I mean, besides me. She walked up to the head of the bed and leaned over, giving Applejack a kiss on the cheek. Applejack chuckled. From how heavy those are, you must have found some mighty cheerful rocks. That's or Apple Bloom's been trying to get that bacon kunamak again. Wrong. Twice. Rainbow smirked. Wanna go for a third guess? A million bits? I know that'll cheer me up. Applejack smiled. No, but it's totally worth a million bits. Rainbow reached into her saddlebag and pulled out a book. I brought you every Daring Do book in the series. Applejack's smile froze. Gee, thanks. But, you know, Twilight already brought some books by for me. That's okay, I'll just take them back to her. Rainbow hovered and picked up the 2 books sitting on Applejack's nightstand. Huh? What's this? Under the oak tree? There aren't even ponies on the front, it's just a tree. And this one's just a history book about Smart Cookie. Twilight is such an egghead. She smiled and shook her head. Dash, Sugar Cube, this is real sweet of you, but we gotta talk, Applejack said carefully. Rainbow rolled her eyes, emptying her saddlebags and stacking the books up high in the nightstand. I already told you, you're not allowed to break up with me over this. You had the ball, and I didn't realize how fast it was going. Applejack chuckled and shook her head. And I told you I could break up with you whenever I darn well want, which I don't, especially for an honest mistake. But we're still changing the rules, so you ain't allowed to tackle going as fast as a freight train. Totally fair, Rainbow agreed. Hoofball's more fun when the other player can finish the game. I can't even count it as a win though. You were ahead. That's how I know it was an accident. Applejack smirked. But that ain't what I need to talk about anyhow. I just need to talk to you about Daring Do. You want to talk about Daring Do? Sure, but you really should read all the other books first. It's a lot easier to understand. Applejack bit her lip. That's kinda what I want to talk about. I read the first book a while ago, right after Twilight came to town. She said it was good, so I gave it a shot. And it was the most awesomely amazing thing you ever read, and you read all the other ones right away? Rainbow said, with an encouraging nod. Actually, Dash, I wasn't all into it. Applejack frowned, watching Rainbow carefully. Rainbow blinked. I'm not following. Applejack shrugged. I tried reading it, but it wasn't for me. I couldn't keep track of all them names I don't know how to say, and Derek just kept falling in and out of traps. It just ain't my kind of book, Dash. Rainbow just stared at her for a long time. Applejack started to hope that she might believe her and let it drop, but eventually, Rainbow said, AJ, it's okay. Reading isn't just for eggheads. You can admit you like Daring Do. Dash, I don't like Daring Do. Applejack rolled her eyes. I like other books. Those books Twilight brought me look real interesting. I like history books and stories about normal ponies getting by. Daring Do is about normal ponies getting by, Rainbow insisted. Applejack raised an eyebrow. Don't know if you noticed, but normal ponies don't do a lot of raiding ancient ruins to get magic doodads to save the world. Daring Do does, and we do. And are you and Daring Do normal ponies? No, but we're awesome ponies. And you're changing the subject. Rainbow poked Applejack's shoulder with a hoof. Which is, what in Equestria is wrong with you? How can you not like Daring Do? I'm sorry, Sugar Cube. It's like I don't even know you. Applejack gave a snort. Now you're being a bit dramatic. No, really! Rainbow waved a hoof. It's like Daring Do is awesome, so not like Daring Do is not awesome. So if you don't like Daring Do, that means you must not be awesome. But I always thought you were awesome. It's just a book, Applejack pointed out. 15 books, Applejack, Rainbow corrected, rolling her eyes. It's 15 books. 15 books of awesomeness you don't get. I ain't awesome just because I don't like 15 books, Applejack said dryly. I don't know, don't look at me. You're my marefriend, but I can't talk to you about Daring Do? Yeah, but we could talk about everything else. Applejack reached over and stroked Rainbow's messy mane. Why don't you tell me your new workout plan? You doing that strength training we're talking about? Rainbow nodded and relaxed. 50 reps for my forelegs and 50 of my rear. It's gonna be tough to keep up with you when I get back on my hooves. Applejack gave a smile. You'll be back in shape in no time. Rainbow gave Applejack's foreleg a nuzzle, then smirked. But yeah, I'm probably still gonna kick your tail. Applejack smirked right back. Then I reckon you better keep on that workout. Rainbow's smirk melted to a genuine smile. I have to admit, it's not as much fun without you. You're not allowed to get hurt anymore. I'll do my best after this. Applejack agreed, laying her head back on the pillow. Huh. Cool. Rainbow nodded. Then her face fell. Now, why don't you like Daring Do? Applejack closed her eyes and growled. Rainbow Dash! Before Rainbow could say anything, Applejack heard a door to the room open. She looked up to see Twilight come in, carrying a scroll in her magic. Hey guys, how are you feeling, AJ? Doing okay, Applejack smiled. Twilight set the scroll on her nightstand, eyeing on the pile of books suspiciously. Well, that's good. Twilight, I need advice, Rainbow interrupted urgently. It's about books. Twilight's eyes lit up. Are you finally looking for something else to read? You might like the Windblower novels. There's more technical stuff about airships and Daring Do, but plenty of airship battles, so... It's not that. I can always read Daring Do again. I need to know what you do when some pony you care about doesn't like the same books you do. Rainbow looked pointedly at Applejack. Twilight blinked. You read different books? Rainbow rolled her eyes. But what if they don't like Daring Do? Twilight glanced at the pile of books again, then at Applejack. You finally told her? Applejack gave a wry smile. Yup, and she ain't taking it well. I don't know what to do. Rainbow threw up her forehoofs. It's like if she didn't like cider or something. Twilight rolled her eyes. I promise you she likes cider. Are you sure? Maybe she tried it one time and it wasn't for her? She looked at Applejack suspiciously. Applejack sighed and shook her head. Cider's made from apples, Dash. Of course I like cider. But Daring Do is made from awesome and adventure. You usually like those things. I mean, you like me. Don't you? Dash cast a suspicious glance again. I love you! Sweet Celestia, help me. Applejack just doesn't like that in books, Rainbow, Twilight explained gently. She likes stories about families. There are some really good ones. Her favorite is Sun Tea in the Porch. It's about a pony dealing with her daughter's... Rainbow gave an exaggerated yawn. I'm asleep already. Twilight and Applejack exchanged looks, and Twilight went on. Well, there are lots of kind of books for ponies to like. Look on the bright side. You don't have to worry about Applejack getting crumbs on your Daring Do books. How can you like something so boring? Rainbow asked Applejack, ignoring Twilight. Applejack shrugged. It's a real good story. It ain't that exciting, but it's got a lot about ponies and how they take care of each other. Yeah, and that's boring, Rainbow said, stomping a hoof. Do you like any books when something actually happens? Stuff happens in those books, Dash. Sometimes there's fires or floods or ponies getting sick. Sometimes some pony dies. Rainbow raised an eyebrow. Ponies die in those books? So they're boring and depressing? There's a lot of things that happen in books like that are about emotions, Rainbow. How ponies react to serious things. Daring Do has emotions, Rainbow insisted. She's worried a lot, and she's even been scared 3 times. Not quite the same thing, Twilight said. Rainbow hovered and crossed her forelegs. It's way cooler than having bad stuff happening and ponies having dumb emotions about it. Twilight offered Applejack a sympathetic smile. I think I'd better off be going. I just stopped by to drop off tomorrow's checklist for you two to look at. Just let me know tomorrow morning if you need to change anything. Thanks, Twa. I'll see you tomorrow. Applejack smiled and waved. As Twilight trotted towards the door, Rainbow was silent until Twilight left. Then, she shook her head at Applejack and said, I just can't believe you. Here we go again. Applejack rolled her eyes. Is this what betrayal feels like? Maybe you'd know if you read something other than Daring Do, Applejack muttered. Rainbow narrowed her eyes. There's nothing wrong with Daring Do. Applejack rubbed her face with a hoof. Finally, after a few moments, she looked up and motioned to Rainbow. Come here, Sugar Cube. Applejack reached out a hoof, wrapping it around Rainbow's shoulders as she got close enough. Now, think a sec before you answer me. Why is it so important to you that I like Daring Do? Because it's awesome. I said think. Because we usually like the same stuff. Rainbow frowned, her ears dropping. I like to talk to you about everything cool, like sports and working out, and how lame boring stuff is. But I'm never going to get to talk to you about Daring Do. You could talk to Twilight about Daring Do, Applejack pointed out. But you're my marefriend. We're supposed to like the same stuff. Applejack raised an eyebrow. Except for music. Oh yeah. Ugh, country. Rainbow made a face. Applejack chuckled. And we're never gonna see eye to eye on that new spellbag, Canterlot Hayes. A hint of a smile played on Rainbow's lips. I thought you liked being wrong sometimes. Well, I reckon this is one more of those places. Applejack smiled at Rainbow. You got Twilight to talk about Daring Do. And I reckon Mac knows what's what about hoofball. And in the meantime, we can talk about everything else. How does that sound? Not as cool as you like Daring Do, Rainbow sighed. Then, she gave a genuine smile. But, I guess I could live with it. Applejack leaned over and caught her lips in a kiss, and Rainbow kissed back eagerly, pressing Applejack's head back into the pillow. As the kiss broke, Rainbow smiled at her again. I can totally live with it. Good. Applejack smiled, then dropped it for a serious expression. Now, while we're on the subject, let's have a word about the Wonder Bolts. Rainbow shot backward and in the air a few feet, staring at Applejack with wide eyes and an open mouth, shaking her head in silent horror. Applejack held her stare for only a few seconds before she started to chuckle. Then, it turned to full-out laughter. Gotcha. Ow! I ain't supposed to be laughing this hard. That totally serves you right, Rainbow shouted, pointing a hoof at her. Don't ever do that to me again. You're just lucky I love you. Applejack calmed herself and smiled up at her Pegasus. I love you too, Dash. I love you too. The end. Hello, Everypony. Snogwritts here. Hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, be sure to leave a like. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more readings like this one every Saturday. Alright, that's it for me. This is Snogwritts, signing out.